Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another series of Leading Women in Asia. Under this series, we highlight important and remarkable stories of women leaders who's made both fantastic marks for themselves, both professionally and personally. We have a very special guest with us today, Normalis Sharif. So welcome, Normalis.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, just to make a quick introduction of Normalis, so Normalis has spent more than 20 years leading and developing HR functions as well as practitioners across a number of high-profile companies such as Darby, Shell, as well as Public Mutual Bahad. Today, Normalis sits as the Regional HR Director for India and the Southeast Asia region for Danone, based out of Malaysia. So Normalis, great to have you here today. And obviously, without further ado, I think let's get started. What would you say is your defining trait as a leader, and how does that impact how you lead?
Yeah, so for me, it is leadership from the heart. So, I've done a lot of cultural implementation. So one of the culture implementations I've done in Danone, we identified that, we need to have conscious leadership. So I find that this really resonates well with me because when you are leading from the heart, you think about what's best for that situation. Yeah. So it makes you think beyond the silos of your function, your department, your business unit. And in my case, it's even, beyond the country that I'm in because I work across different countries. Yeah. So you are actually contributing to a bigger population and for a bigger purpose.
And it's interesting you talk about purpose, but what I've found leading obviously the Thailand business is that purpose is incredibly important for a lot of young practitioners, both in HR but also across other functional areas, in terms of how they define themselves and how they push their career forward. Yeah. No, absolutely. I guess my next question would be more around aspiring female professionals. So how do you think aspiring female professionals can differentiate themselves from others?
From my experience, it's about standing by the choices you've made, right? And also making those choices work for you. But you stand by those choices and deliver what is it that you promise you would deliver. Yeah. And I would also say you don't have to do things the way men do because women and men we are different. We think in a different way, we come to conclusions in a different way. So be comfortable in being the woman that you are and whatever roles that come with it.
And would you say that it's really about being true to yourself and your ideals and your values and what is important to you as a female leader or leader in general?
Yes, I would say exactly that because if you are not being true to yourself, it's very hard for you to excel, and to make a mark in whatever you do. So I think it's more important that you know yourself and what are the things that you can do best. So that's how you can set yourself to succeed in your career.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting. It kind of leads me into, I guess, the next question I want to talk about, which is more around, have you been true to yourself, do you feel, in your career, or would you have done anything differently in those 20 plus years that you've been running HR businesses?
Well, honestly, I think I have been because I do love, working in HR. Actually, I graduated in international relations. I was supposed to be a diplomat, right?
I remember you told me this before. It's a fantastic story. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I found that I like working with people. I like working, coming up with policy strategies for people. So that's why I stuck in HR. And I've been fortunate that I've had, quite a good career journey. I mean, of course, there are one or two experiences which were not so great, but I must say that those are the ones that give you, a lot of learnings for you to take into the next part of your journey.
What do you feel has been the biggest changes that HR has gone through as a profession over the years that you've had experience working within the field?
Yeah, so what I feel is that, in recent years, HR business partnering has played an increasingly important role in contributing to business decisions and business strategies. Yeah, I mean, when I first started work, like you said, more than 20 years ago, HR I found was more of an administrative function, right? But now it is a central function to business performance and also business success, right? So as HR leaders, I would say that we need to be business savvy. We need to keep abreast with the developments in the markets that we are working in. We need to be able to design people's strategy that will contribute to the deliverable of your business strategies, right? Yeah, and in the past, of course, HR is the function that usually safeguard the policies for the company. I wouldn't say that has changed, but what I say would be good is that HR professionals become agile, to adapt and also to advise our stakeholders on how to make the policies work for the business instead of the other way around. So that's how I see HR has evolved, and by right, yes, in most big companies, HR is actually a very important business partnering function to the business leaders.
Fabulous question next. What keeps you up at night? What keeps you awake?
Okay. So I don't think it's a surprise if I say it's the COVID situation, right? For now.
Absolutely. For all of us.
Because, my role covers 10 countries. So, the situation with COVID can fluctuate very much, between the different countries in a few days. So, the COVID situation, how we keep our people safe, vaccination arrangements for all the employees, you are in lockdown in one country, semi-lockdown, you get out of lockdown, get back into lockdown, so those sort of things, because it also it has an impact on the energy of people in the organization. And of course, I also, think a lot and pay a lot of attention to the energy level of the HR teams in all these countries, because they've been managing this situation for more than a year. On top of their normal work, so I talk to them often, offer any support I can, give them from where I am, because I'm also, in one place, and see how we can make it work together.
As we get out of lockdown and back to what we would call normality, I guess, will Danone change its view on flexible working, change its view on working from home and that sort of thing? Is there things that you guys have learned through the session?
Actually, globally, in all the different countries, we have already introduced flexible working. In fact, in India, Southeast Asia, we actually came out with a proposal, and it has been approved. We have shared it. It's just that most of us have been in lockdown, so we couldn't implement it. We are at home instead of being in the office. So the ones that we have proposed, arrangements that there is a mixture between working remotely and also, working together in the office, because what we find that is important is also to establish, the relationship, the connection that you have with your colleagues, because when you work remotely, you would need to be, you need to trust that people would deliver what they need to deliver. And you also need to have them trust you to deliver. So that's why, so it's a combination that we have put together in terms of the framework that, you work remotely, but you also come back to the office so that you can connect with the whole of the team and, and not lose that connection with the team.
Absolutely. Well, look, we're going to stay with COVID a little while longer before wrapping up. Well, I guess one last question for you, Normalis, before we wrap up. Are you a calls or an email type person? Could you explain to the audience why?
Well, it depends on what it is. Yeah. So if it is giving information, and while working remotely, they also require a lot of approvals, right, online.
Yeah.
So those, so those would be email. Okay. But if there are issues or there are matters that need more clarification, and we need to settle it, I would rather pick up the phone and call the other party. Yeah. Because when you have things to sort out, you would have questions, you want to understand.
It helps the engagement, doesn't it?
Yes.
With people, absolutely, during these times.
Yes,
Normalis,
yes.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Great to get to know you on a bit more of a personal level, and as well as getting your insights throughout the years that you've had as an HR practitioner. Really appreciate you wanting to spend some time with us on this Leading Women series. And thank you ever so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chris, for inviting me as well. I have enjoyed our conversation thoroughly.